Releasing the club correctly is a crucial element to maximising power, consistency and accuracy. But there's something that 10% of us golfers do that the other 90% don't really take note of, and that's where the secret comes in. And the secret is that there is always a reason to why something happens in your golf swing. So with the release, a lot of golfers have a tendency to either over-release and get the ball hooking, or releasing the club very late in the swing arc and having a tendency for them to go way to the right and leaving that club face open at impact. And rather than thinking, oh, I need to try and flick the hands to stop this open face at impact, or I need to try and hold it off, do the opposite and to stop them from going left, think about this. There's always a reason to why something happens in your golf swing. So if you're going to be trying to adjust something last minute in your swing to make sure that club face is square, then there's always a reason to why that happens. There will always be a reason to why you don't release the club in time, or you release the club too early in the swing arc. So I'm just going to show you a couple of pointers that you want to make sure you're getting correct to understand what causes the early release and late release in your golf game, so you can actually stop this for good and start seeing more power, better golf shots. And when you have a look at yourself from face on the swing, you can see that proper release taking place throughout the swing. So first off, we want to be looking at the club face position at address. We want to be ensuring that the club face is pointing directly down our target line. If it's too close or too open, in the back of our heads we're always having the tendency to go, okay, well I need to make sure I'm going to hold it off if the club face is closed at address, or the complete opposite. If it's too open, we might want to try and early release to counteract this effect. Or sometimes just because we've got the club face open or closed, it's very easy for us as well just to return that club face on that angle when we hit the golf ball. So if it's open, it's going to go to the right. It's closed, it's going to go to the left. So just make sure to kick things off that you've got that club face very square and pointing directly down that target line. So the second thing we're going to look at is the angle of attack. And now the angle of attack is a huge effect on how we release the club. Whether it's too early, too late, or at the perfect timing, it has a massive effect on how and why we do those actions. So if we're swinging too steep on the downswing, the tendency is to come really far down to the golf ball and have a very late release, leaving the club face way open. And if we're too shallow, we have the tendency to see the club dropping more on the inside, and we early release to try and counteract this effect and see the golf shots going more to the left because of that closed face at impact. So those two things are the main causes to that either late release or early release. If it's too late, the tendency is we have that steeper angle of attack, and if it's too early, the shallower angle of attack takes place. Well, how can you find out whether you do this or not? Well, you can go down to the driving range in a grass area, or just go out to your local golf course and just play a few holes, hit a few iron shots from different places, and if you notice you take massive craters way out of the golf ball, then that indicates to you that you're coming on a very steep angle of attack with a very late release into the golf ball. Whereas if you're someone that hardly takes a divot whatsoever, you probably have a tendency of bringing the club more on the inside, shallowing that downswing too much, and early releasing the club. So to the golfers out there who have that steep angle of attack into the golf ball with that late release, you'll probably get to the top of your swing and start the downswing using the upper body. So when you transition from backswing to downswing, the upper body takes place first and causes those hands and arms to come well out on the outside and bring the club very steep in to the golf ball, all starting really from the left side of your body, so the lead side, from shoulder all the way down to just above the hip area. So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to take your lead hand and put it on your lead pocket like so. You're just going to take a swing, and feel free just to grip down the club with your right hand just to make things easier for you. Get to the top, and I want you to feel like this left pocket is shifting out the way, and you can clearly see there that when I do this, the transition starts from the lower body, which is the correct swing sequence to start the downswing, and also it really does shallow out that angle of attack for you. So rather than seeing that late release at impact, it should make things easier for you to just let the club overtake a little bit quicker and hit the golf ball. And to those of you who do the opposite and have the tendency to come very shallow and don't see any divot whatsoever, what you want to do is take your left hand and put it underneath your right tricep. So take your lead hand underneath your trail tricep, set up one-handed again, gripping down it just to make things easy. And you want to keep the tension in your lead hand here underneath the tricep, and we're trying to keep the club more and the hands more working out in front of us from backswing all the way to downswing. So as you get to the top here, you want to feel almost like the elbow is working more in this direction as opposed to dragging behind and getting well behind the body in this position here, because then we get stuck, shallow, have to really release. So keep the tension in that lead hand, and the feeling is you're going to take the club to where it reaches parallel to the ground, and you're going to flex the right arm, bring the club over the right shoulder, and then from there you're just going to bring it back down in that plane. It's going to encourage you to bring that club more out in front and stopping this shallow angle of attack and having to early release. So those two drills there, whether you swing it too steep or too shallow, are the main causes to why you don't release the club properly. So there's the secret. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.